Hey, you know where you are. It's Bills by the Numbers, where we let the stats tell you where the Bills are at. We're presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Coming your way next, Buffalo's offense isn't as troubled as you might think, and we'll explain why. What could help make the offense look like a lighter lift going forward. Steve will be quizzed on the Bills post-bye, and we'll have our one burning question. Hey, no more buys. We got nothing but hellos. Glad to have you along for Bills by the Numbers. He's Bills Wall of Famer Steve Tasker. I'm Bills play-by-play man Chris Brown, and we come out of the blocks with a look at Buffalo's offense, which many fans are wringing their hands over the past few weeks, with point production dropping the past two games and the offense struggling to protect, extend drives, and take care of the ball. Bills Mafia is gripping. This despite the fact that Buffalo has had a set of back-to-back losses in each of their last 6 seasons and then successfully climbed out of that hole to make the postseason. So first up, Steve, how would you quantify this most recent set of back-to-back losses in terms of impact on Buffalo's 2025 campaign?
Well, they're still a very good football team, and good football teams, when they get beat the way they have the last couple of weeks, it's in large measure because they're not playing the way they should play. They're getting a lot of penalties, then they're turning the football over, and that's going to make you look sloppy. That's where we're sitting with the Bills. The Patriots game is a classic example of what happened. They lost by 3 on a last-minute field goal in a game where they turned it over 3 times and got 10 penalties, and they look sloppy. And they turned it over in their own end. They turned it over in the other team's end in critical moments.
Yeah.
And paid the price for it in a 3-point loss. That's the kind of game they lose. The Atlanta game was a little different. On the road, Atlanta was a tough physical matchup for Buffalo. And Buffalo, while their defense adjusted for the second half and only allowed 3 more points by the Atlanta Falcons, that's all it took. You know, their offense could not get on track. And that's probably as disconcerting as anything. Josh Allen, a guy who rarely gets sacked as a quarterback, was under pressure that night and got sacked a number of times. And so that kind of makes you seem like something was out of character for the team. But I still think they're the exact same team they have been. When they get beat, more often than not, they help the other team, and that's the only way it happens.
Yeah, and then I will just add to that and say Sean McDermott and his coaching staff, when they experience these setbacks, are among the best staffs in the league at course-correcting the team and getting them back on the rails to the kind of football we've become accustomed to seeing them play. And I'm not expecting anything different this coming week out of the bye. In an effort to put Bills fans more at ease, as we usually do here on Bills by the Numbers, is use the stats to tell you where the Bills are at. And the offense isn't as troubled as you might think. Even with their last 2 outings being down in terms of production and points, Buffalo is still second in the league in success rate on offense. The Bills may lack big plays in the passing game, but they are 6th in the league in yards after catch per reception, with an average of almost 8 yards, 7.9. So they're getting yards. It's just after the catch instead of air yards on the throw. How confident are you that the Bills' offense will rediscover their footing and be highly productive again going forward?
I'm extremely confident they're going to have they're going to score, between 25 and 30 points, or 25 and 35 points every game they go out there, unless they put it on the ground and drop the ball. That's just the way they are. Teams are going to have to continue to keep up with the Bills on the scoreboard with their offense, and that's part of the reason the Bills are who they are. They're this team that's difficult to beat, and everybody expects to be there at the end. They're going to be there again, and unless they turn it over, they're going to do some things well that force other teams to react. They've got to. Other teams have to score points, more points than you would think, to win these games. And if they don't, they're not going to win. They've got to keep up offensively. And the Bills' defense, with the guys coming back off the off the injury list and the suspension list, should get a little bit better and a little bit more, at least a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, and they can get back to getting some turnovers once in a while, I'm not even saying 4 turnovers a game or 3 turnovers a game, but if they can get a couple, that's going to go a long way towards this team being who we think they are.
Coming out of the bye, the last 8 years, the Bills have averaged 2 turnovers in their first game off the bye. Takeaways we're talking about. And look, I think they will be able to get back to what they do best, and usually coming off a bye, they add a few wrinkles in as well. And I think they're going to rediscover what their identity is on offense, and it'll be full steam ahead. Still, you might argue you want to have more explosive plays from time to time, so you don't have to go the long way all the time on offense and have to be highly efficient every single time you possess the ball. I realize some fans believe they're not getting enough out of their receiving core, but their 6 receiving touchdowns, ranked 6th in the league, and they've played 1 fewer game than about half the league at this point in time, now that they've had their bye. If there's anything they need, it's fewer turnovers. To Steve's point, 6 turnovers in their last 3 games, including 5 in their 2 losses the last 2 weeks. How fixable is that? Knowing opponents watching recent tape might be all the more motivated to try to dislodge the ball from Buffalo's ball carriers.
It's very fixable because they're the only team since 1950 who've gone 12 games without turning it over, so they know how to do it. But they've got to reiterate that in their skill people. The Keon Coleman drop inside the 10-yard line last week against the Patriots was critical. The turnover they gave up inside the red zone of the Patriots was critical in that game. You don't have to go very far towards you before you have tangible proof that is the stat you've got to watch for this club. So certainly it's fixable. Certainly it's fixable because it's all on you. And I'm sure that message has been driven home.
Yeah. I mean, this team had an extra practice coming off the bye on Monday in pads. It was an hour of nothing but fundamentals.
Yeah.
Ball security, tackling, pass protection, the whole 9 was run through over the course of an hour. And I do believe it's fixable because, as you said, Steve, of past history, this team had 8 giveaways last year. Now, that is an extraordinarily low number. Are they going to be able to match that this year? Probably not. But I think they're still going to be among the best teams in the league in terms of protecting the football by the time we get to week 18. Defensively, there is a form of the cavalry on the way, chiefly in the form of Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi, 2 veteran players who returned to the team off 6-game suspensions. Ogunjobi likely to step right into the lineup in place of an injured Daquan Jones, who is week to week with a calf injury. Hoyt, meanwhile, expected to be a movable chess piece along the defensive front. And then there's Max Hairston, the first-round pick who began practicing in week 8. How much of a shot in the arm can these players provide to a defense that is sorely in need of reinforcements?
Yeah, I think it gives them an uptick in every aspect of the defensive front, those 2 guys. Ogunjobi's a good run stuffer. Hoyt is a good pass rusher and a good run stopper. They're true pros. Everything's going to get taken up a tick, both their pass rush and their run stuff. Max Hairston, that's a little bit more questionable. You don't know. Certainly he's athletic enough to play at the NFL level. He is the one guy out there who in their defensive backfield who can outrun most anybody. How fast he comes out and can get acclimated is going to be the real question. Max Hairston, his problems are from the neck up right now, not the knee down, if you get my drift. It's not his injury. It's getting his head on the right spot and earning the trust of coaches to put him out there in a complicated defensive system and having him hold up. Physically, I think he'll be better than he will be mentally at times. And he could give them a shot in the arm big time. But they're going to need it at both ends. Let's face it, they have been struggling with the injuries and guys in and out of the lineup and just the lack of production defensively. Third down defense you would expect to be better if Max Hairston's on the field and Mike Hoyt is on the field. getting to third down and long would be more in Larry Ogunjobi's line of help. So if all of those guys get the uptick in those kind of areas, yeah, the defense is going to get a few more stops, maybe 2 or 3 more stops a game, and that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I think up front it's about shoring up the run fits better. You've got an 8-9-year veteran doing that now next to Ed Oliver or next to whoever the fourth defensive tackle is going to be, because right now you only have 3 healthy ones. You probably have to have a practice squad call-up entering the game against the Panthers. He's a veteran presence in there that knows how to get the job done and has a proven track record of doing it. And if you can help on your snaps to get the Carolina offense and the offenses to come into long down and distance situations, that benefits your pass rush. And if you have long down and distance, that benefits the guys on the back end. Routes take longer to complete. You got guys up front that have a half second more to get home. And maybe this team that right now is second in pressure rate in the league can actually get the quarterback on the ground a few more times per game. Looking at the last thing on the list, the benefit of the bye week. The Bills coaching staff has had the opportunity to tweak some things and perhaps set up some tendency breaker type plays. The question is, do they leave some of those in the bag for the game against Kansas City in Week 9, or is getting back on track in Week 8 too important to not utilize whatever new looks you've got at your disposal to get a win before even focusing on the Chiefs?
I think the mentality is you win this game by hook or crook. Worry about next week when it comes, because this week, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen in this game. I mean, if who's going to come out healthy, who's going to come out hurt. You don't know what you're going to have to work with next week. And so the plays that you call may be off the table anyway because of the players that get hurt. Win this game this week.
Yeah.
That's always the mentality. Don't worry about, let Kansas City take care of themselves, because you know, at this point, you know, Pat Mahomes tweaks an ankle, he's not even playing, you know, then, or Josh gets a hang now, he's not playing for the Bills, or those kind of things happen. Worthy and Rashid Rice both missed the next game. So it's a whole different matchup. So win this game. Throw all your eggs into this basket, and then next week, whatever eggs are left, you throw into the next one. And that's the mentality. You can't get caught up in looking past the Carolina Panthers for the Kansas City Chiefs. You got to beat the Panthers and stack those wins.
Yeah, I would say priority number 1 is getting everything back on the rails to winning football, and that starts with Carolina, who, by the way, is no pushover team. They play a very physical brand of football. They're good at running the football, 3rd in the league. So you got enough problems this week to deal with, and if you have some things that you think are going to enhance your chances of winning, by all means, use them this week, get the win, get to 5-2, and then worry about next week. I could not agree more.
They're the best team the Bills have faced win-loss record yet this year. They're 4-3.
Right.
They're the best team the Bills have faced this year, the Carolina Panthers. No matter what you thought about them or have, what their prospects are, their expectations were, they've got more wins under their belt than any team the Bills have played so far this year. They're 4-3, and that's, they're getting it done.
No question about it.
Getting it done.
They're doing a good job, even though their strength of victory is only slightly better than the Bills' strength of victory, which is the worst in the league.
Right. They
have not beat juggernaut teams. I mean, on their 3-game winning streak, they've beaten Miami, Dallas,
and the Jets.
And
they did crush the Falcons 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But they lost to the Patriots, the Cardinals, and the Jaguars. Mm-hmm. So take that what you will. They're a team that's learning how to win, and they're getting it done more often than they're not.
We move on to the numbers game, where Steve is going to be tested on Bills bye week trivia. Here we go. Question number 1. When was the last time the Bills had a bye week earlier than week 7? That is obviously when they had their bye this year. When's the last time they had a bye week earlier than that?
Early 2020s, I think. 21, 22.
You're close, but not correct.
2020.
Incorrect.
2019.
2019. They had a bye in week 6, just the week before. Question number 2. Since 2017, what numbered week has been the most frequent bye week for the Bills? So in the Sean McDermott era, what do you believe to be the most frequent bye week number?
Week 11.
That's a good guess, Steve, but again, incorrect.
9.
Not 9.
10.
No.
12.
It's actually, no.
13, 14, 15.
No, it's not. No. It's week 7. It actually is week 7. It's happened 3 times since 2017.
I had no shot.
No, you were going the wrong direction and fast. Kind of reminds me of that yodeler, in The Price is Right.
Yes.
You're going the wrong way, and he's still marching up to the cliff. Cliffhanger is the name of the game. Question number 3. The Bills, as you know, are 8-0, coming off the bye under Sean McDermott. How many of those post-bye victories have been on the road?
Four.
It is less.
2.
It is less.
1?
Only one of those post-bye victories under Sean McDermott has been on the road.
They've been at home after the
It
bye.
was in week
Wow.
13 of the 2023 season at Kansas City.
Wow.
All right, Steve.
That's kind of a weird stat there.
Well, it's
They're
a
on
little
the-
eye-opening, too.
Yeah, they're at home after the bye a lot.
Yeah.
Wow, I
So,
didn't realize
something to think about, as good as the record is. Question 4, what is the average margin of victory for the Bills in their 8 post-bye victories under Sean McDermott? Average margin of victory, would you say?
8.5.
Oh, you're close.
Am I?
You are.
Up or down? Really? 9.
It's 9.8. So it's
9.8.
almost 10.
That's like I was
Average
I
margin
was
of
like within a
victory.
point and a half of that. That's a win.
I'll give you a half point there. So you finish with a half point on your score
All right.
on a somewhat forgettable numbers game for one Steve Tasker. 5 of Buffalo's 8 post-bye wins under McDermott were by 10 points or more. Those were all at home, though. That should be noted. The one post-bye victory under Sean McDermott at Kansas City, 3-point win, 20-17 in 2023. Bills fans, get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Just download the app today to play any way you want. Plus, with live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started. Best of all, you get paid your winnings fast. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the Buffalo Bills. We now ask our one burning question. Josh Allen, who often victimizes teams that blitz him, is having trouble executing against the blitz this season. His QBR under pressure has fallen to an anemic 12.2, which is 25th in the NFL. He is 8 for 21 for 90 yards with a touchdown and 3 picks in his last 2 games facing the blitz. How do we frame this new problem that has cropped up? A blip on the radar or something more troubling than that?
Well, it's always troubling because you don't drop off that much unless something's happened, and whatever the difference is, I'm sure they've got a handle on it. But you can bet, I know this to be a dyed-in-the-wool rule etched in stone in the NFL. Until you prove you can beat it, they're going to give it to you. So you can bet that Carolina's going to send pressure on them, and they're going to do some of the exact same things and the same concepts and the same thought process behind their pressure packages as the teams that have been doing up to this point. Josh is going to have to find an answer for that, or they're going to give it a steady diet of it.
I felt there was a disconnect, particularly in the Atlanta game, where, granted, they had a lot of long down and distance situations. You're inviting the blitz or pass pressure to get to you in those situations. So a lot of long down and distance, not only on third down, but second down as well, in that Atlanta game specifically. And I felt as though the protections pre-snap were a little off. Josh is such a smart quarterback. I still don't think he gets enough credit for his football IQ because he is so gifted physically. He usually has those pass protections with Connor McGovern buttoned up from start to finish in games.
Not
and
in
if there is
Atlanta,
a free rusher coming, he knows where it's coming from. Like, we're so accustomed to seeing him having it all blocked up and taken care of, or a pass set up with a hot route to neutralize the blitz, that what we saw on Monday night in Atlanta was almost startling. It was jarring because of how good he has been over the years. I think with the bye week and the extra time to figure out what the issues were, I expect it to be 100% corrected going forward. So for me, it's a blip on the radar. Not to mention the fact that even though Carolina might be blitzing a little more than they usually do, they're last in the league in pressure rate, for what it's worth. Our closing figures deal with Buffalo's run defense, which has been a persistent problem since week 1. These figures are courtesy of NFL league stats that are provided. Over 19% of the runs against the Bills have gone for more than 10 yards. That's the highest rate in the league. More than 48% of the total yardage allowed by the Bills has been via rushing. That's the highest percentage in the league. And almost 43% of the yards gained by the Carolina Panthers has been by rushing. That is the third highest percentage in the NFL. Things to think about going into the Week 8 matchup off the bye. That'll do it for this episode. Make sure you subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use or on the Bills YouTube channel where you can watch us as well, because when you need to know about the Bills, you need to check Bills by the Numbers. For Steve Tasker, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time, everybody.